Oh, fish.
Fish, yep.
Followed right to the boat.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Yeah, fish on.
Go Smithers.
Nah, it's a fish. Yep, on.
Oh! Hey guys, we talked to heaps of people about how they're going with topwater tuna. People want to get into it. They're used to their trolling ways, and they'll take a casting rod, but so often they won't use it, or they'll only give it a short go. And often when I speak to people about it and say, you know, how did you go on the cast? Did you get any on the cast? It's met with an answer of, oh, that they weren't busting up, so yeah, we didn't cast. Guys, you're missing the point. Topwater tuna is an attitude. It's about going out there to target fish on top water, not just dealing with a bust up if you see it. We want to show you in this video how we go about finding tuna that we can cast at, which is any of them. Check it out. So step one is leave the trolling gear at home. When you first leave the port, think about where you're going to go. Are you going to head to where the reports are or where you got them last week? Certainly do that as your starting point, but have an eye on the birds. And whether it's muttonies or terns or gannets, if they're all flying in one direction, they're going there for a reason, and they know this business better than we do. So sometimes we'll buck the trend and just head following birds, especially when nothing else is happening. And it's crazy how often this will actually lead us to really good action. So pay attention to the birds, pay attention to the dolphins, and if they're all going one way, then there's a pretty good reason for it. Got to be tuna in that.
That is a really important first step. Understanding what birds are doing is super important as well. Don't dismiss mutton birds. When they're excited and they're sticking their head in the water and really acting up, they're doing it for a good reason. If they're sticking their head in the water, they can see bait or they can see fish. But more reliable are gannets and terns. And gannets are our favourite bird to react to. They generally feed on a bigger bait. You'll often find them on pilchards, red rockets, and even slimies when we get them in the Southern Ocean. The beauty is that when gannets are involved, usually the bait's bigger and normal stick baits will get eaten really readily. These gannets are on a red bait ball, and you can tell by the height of the gannets that the bait ball is pushed up right to the surface. It's a combination of barrel bluefin, seals and dolphins underneath them. When the gannets are low to the water like this, the bait's high, and the higher the gannets are and the further they're diving in from, the deeper the bait is. So this is an absolute perfect scenario for top water, because the bait's high, the fish have to be high. Terns generally feed on smaller bait, and as a result you need to adjust your lure size. It can be pretty frustrating. But when you see terns dipping down right to the water's edge like this, there are tuna right under those leading birds, and this is a real game on situation right here. Sometimes you can't find birds at all and you start to think, oh, there's no tuna here because there's no birds. Time and time again, we're finding bluefin schools by just keeping our eyes open. The calmer it is, the easier this is to pull off, but I'd say up to about 15 knots, this is still possible. Really got to keep your eyes peeled and look for a difference in colour of the water. Often the mass of the tuna just gives off a slightly darker look to the water. The same thing can happen with kingfish in the warmer months, where the water can look a bit greeny yellow in a patch, and that can be a school of kings.
But more often than not, you see this ruffling on the water where the water just looks a bit different. It looks like it could be a wind vane situation. Often it schools of bluefin. Can't detect birds and can't see tuna? No worries, make sure you use your sonar. We're regularly picking up big schools of bluefin and getting them up on the cast when they seem like they're otherwise not feeding. The first 3 photos that you'll see here are all school bluefin this summer that had no visible presence on the surface. There was no birds, there was no bait, and they weren't feeding. But drifting over them and casting, we were able to get them up and get bites. It's a matter of persistence. It mightn't happen on the first cast, it mightn't happen in the first 100, but if you persist, they will come up. Good sonar is absolutely essential for tuna fishing, regardless of how you're doing it. I'm using a Simrad NSS Evo 3, 12-inch on the helm of my boat and a 9-inch up in the forward casting platform. The transducer I'm using is an EMR SS175 high wide because I want to mark mid-water pelagic fish and bait. I'm not too concerned about what's on the bottom. The final 3 slides that you can see from here are all barrel bluefin from either Port Mac or Cape Bridgewater from last year. And they're all on bait, but all of these fish were pushing to the surface. And one of them was able to find its way to our stick bait, and it's the one that we lost after an hour. Hopefully we get the job done when we can get on the water again and post-coronavirus actually get fishing again. So there you have it, guys. You don't need to see fish busting up to fish bluefin tuna on Topwater. Give us a sub and like and comment on the video. Show the channel some support. We really appreciate it. Cheers, guys. Good luck. Hope you enjoyed it.